Good afternoon. On this beautiful Saturday, it is November the 25th, 2017. Welcome to this week's weekly weather briefing, where we are just 6 days away from the start of meteorological winter, and we have no winter weather to talk about. So, this is just, I guess, a precursor as to what is going to come as far as the start of winter being in 6 days. Eventually, winter will get here, but we still have some pretty warm fall weather to get through over the next week. We're going to be talking about at least one system in particular, a mid to late week system. And where did all of that rain go? We were talking about a big active pattern for the month of November, and it started out that way, but it's pretty far fetched from active right now and has closed the month out in a non-active pattern. Now we're just high and dry. 500 millibar pattern as usual. We'll talk about that as well and what it means going into the middle part of the month of December. So yes, you'll get another sneak peek at December. The actual December forecast won't come out until a few more days, as well as the winter forecast will come out before December the 1st. I haven't set a date yet, but there will be a day before December the 1st that I will have my winter forecast posted via YouTube like this. And I also will have your 7-day rainfall totals and the 16-day temperatures, so we'll be looking at that as well. So where did that rain go? Well, we were, like I said, a very active pattern had begun the month of November. My forecast was for that. And all of a sudden, over the last week and a half, we just closed the month out with a non-active pattern. The month isn't over yet, but we are in our last weekly weather briefing for the month of November, which means we are in our last week for November, and we are not looking at anything real exciting. We'll look at this upcoming Wednesday at 6 o'clock in the afternoon or evening, whichever way you look at it. We have some rain moving in. GFS has been a little bit back and forth on where it wants to place the heaviest of this rain, but there is a system that will be around on Wednesday and then both on Thursday. So both of those days do have a little bit of a chance for some raindrops, and it doesn't look like it's going to be a very dry system right now. We're watching for very low rainfall totals, but there are some characteristics to this system that could pose a threat to some heavier rainfall. So we'll have to watch for that as well. There is going to be some cold air wrapping around the backside of it right now. I don't think we're going to have to worry about any wintry precipitation, but I do think that there is going to be a threat well to our north. If the cold air can wrap around quick enough, we may see a couple of snowflakes mix in, but this is still almost a week away, so any kind of threat that this system could pose as far as dropping wintry or frozen precipitation would still be yet to be determined until we get closer to this system. But I don't even really want to put that on your radar. I just wanted to mention that extremely low possibility in case it were to occur. The 500 millibar pattern, we see ridging taking over through all four of these images in the central and the eastern United States. But the fourth image that I'm going to show you, or the fourth map, is going to be signaling to me that we see a big time change by mid-December. I know a lot of other forecasters locally are honing in on it as well, and this could be a big game changer for the month of December. Here's a look at Tuesday, this upcoming Tuesday at 12 p.m. We can see a lot of red on the map, and if you are not very familiar with the weather world and you've at least seen a couple of these maps, you know that usually the red equals either heavy rain or a lot of warmth, and in this case it's equaling a lot of warmth for us as we go into the middle of the week, and this is going to continue as we go even towards the end of the week. By the time we see that little shortwave system roll around, it will pose the threat of some cooler temperatures, and I already mentioned that with that system around Wednesday and Thursday, so there will be some lower heights in the atmosphere, which is why you see some blue shading here, and that is signaling to me that there will be some lower than normal heights in the upper part of the atmosphere. So this is showing that we do have the potential to see some colder air, not only at the surface going into the very end of the week, but maybe even higher up into the atmosphere, as well as a little bit of a shortwave trough moves in, but it doesn't last long because by Sunday we're already back to a big time ridge, and we see that system pretty much strengthen big time by the time it gets to the northeast U.S. coast, and that is going to pose a threat to them as far as some very windy conditions and a big time storm. But for us, it's just going to be a couple of raindrops, if that, for Wednesday and Thursday. Now at the same time, Sunday at 6 p.m., or rather Saturday, we see right here that there is a big ridge here in the central United States. This is what we just looked at, but this image that right here is just a larger view of entire North America. And what I want to show you is right here, where I'm circling my mouse. There is a lot of blue shading, which means lower than normal heights, a trough in the Bering Sea. The Bering Sea is right here where I'm circling my mouse. And when we see a trough take place in the Bering Sea, I mentioned this rule, the Bering Sea rule, back in the beginning of October, and this is how I forecasted the code that came towards the end of the month. But this is how I'm going to forecast the code coming once again, but I think this would be for mid-December. Now, notice how we see the lower than normal heights here, but there's a ridge in the eastern United States, or at least the central United States, lower than normal heights in the east at the time, not because of a big cool down, just because they have a big time system right there. So when we see the lower than normal heights here, we can usually say around 6 to 10 days later, we should be looking for some pretty cold temperatures in the eastern United States and the central United States too. Well, notice this image right here is Saturday at 6 p.m. next Saturday, a week from today, which would be December the 3rd. We say about 6 to 10 days later, that would put us anywhere between the 9th and the 13th of December. And if you look at the models and you were to study them, you would see that they are starting to trend colder going into the 9th or the 13th time period. So this rule might work out once again. We also see some very strong high latitude blocking, not only in the North Pacific, but also in the northern Atlantic, both signaling to me that we do have the potential for some big time cold as we go towards the middle of the month. Here is our 16-day temperatures, and you'll see that going into around the 9th and 10th of December. It's starting to cool down big time, showing highs in the upper 30s to lower 40s. Now, you can't take this very accurately. You have to take it with a grain of salt and show and see that really it is just trending towards colder temperatures as we go in towards the 9th and 10th, and that's as far as it goes out. So we notice the big cool down, but notice right before it, we do have a big warm-up to get through first, and this is showing warmer than normal temperatures I think are going to be likely than what this is showing. So this is showing well above normal temperatures for that time, December 4th and 5th. We would see average high temperatures for an afternoon high around the upper 40s to lower 50s, and this is showing upper 50s. And I think that there are going to be some models that show even portions of our area reaching into the 60s and maybe even 70s, and I think that that is very accurate. I think that we do have the potential to see almost record warmth right before our big cool down comes in. It's going to take a big system to do this, and I think this big system is going to pull in a lot of big time warm air right ahead of it. But we also see a late week cool down, and that is because of that cold front coming through on Thursday. We will see some clouds, some rain. We're going to see that cold front move through, and it's going to drop our temperatures. This would be for Friday. Sorry, the arrow is covering it up, but just to show you that we do have some slightly below normal temperatures coming in at the very end of the week, but it doesn't last long because that big warm-up comes for the 4th and the 5th, and we see a nosedive going into the middle of the month in the second week of December. Here's a look at the 7-day rainfall totals. We are looking at really less than a quarter of an inch. This shows nothing for portions of the purchase area, but I think that the system on Wednesday and Thursday poses a little bit more of a threat to some heavier rainfall totals than what this is showing. Not heavy rainfall totals, but heavier than what this is showing. So maybe around a quarter inch or less, but it's not going to be much, and it's definitely not going to be enough to close the month of November with above normal temperatures, as I only have 3 inches here so far at my house for the month, and an average for the month of November is around 4.5 inches of rain. So no way we're going to be getting there. My forecast was for above average precipitation. We're not going to be seeing that before the month is over, so bad on my part there, but the warmer than normal temperatures should verify. Right now we're colder than average so far, but all of this warmth coming in at the very end of the month, I think, is going to wipe away any states right now that are seeing below average temperatures so far. We'll see that warmth return. It's going to last into the first week of December, and look forward here in a couple of days to not only my December forecast, but my winter forecast as well, to see what we could be looking at for the upcoming months as we go into the month of, or rather the season of winter.